Hi, my name is Derek, and in this Avoca video executive summary, we'll be looking at information protection. Ways to protect your organization's most valuable asset, both inside and outside the firewall. We'll start with a quick introduction, and then show you what's possible when you use the technologies and experience of Adobe and Avoca to protect your information. Information. You've got lots of it, and you deal with it every day. Client information, staff information, business plans and financials, proposals, contracts. And there are literally hundreds of stories relating to the loss of critical information by corporations and government agencies, which has resulted in new laws passed to increase the fines that can be imposed on organizations for the loss of sensitive data. When information is stored on corporate systems within the network, the information is typically safe. It's protected by user IDs and passwords, firewalls, and so on. But once that information is copied to a disk, attached to an email, or copied into a document and printed, how do you control access to it? You may want to email the information or copy it onto a document, but only for the intended recipient and no one else. Once it's out there, it's out there. Digital rights management is designed to allow for information to be distributed, only accessed by the intended recipient, and tracked and controlled once out there. And it works like this. When Adobe Lifecycle Digital Rights Management is applied to a PDF or Microsoft Office document, the document is encrypted with 128-bit or 256-bit encryption. Access to the document can be restricted to those with a user ID and password. It's important to note these details are not stored inside the document. They are authenticated by a server. The password is defined for a user, not a document. So if the individual has multiple protected documents, the same password will allow access to all of them. The security policy can require the user to enter their password every time the document is opened, once each day, once a week, etc. This is called a lease period. So for example, you may want members of the board to review the minutes of the board meeting over the weekend without having to authenticate each time the document is opened. So in this case, you may provide a 3-day lease period. But the individual's access to the document can be restricted to opening and viewing with no ability to print, save, email. The level of access you provide is completely configurable by you. And even once the document is out there and accessed by an authorized individual, you can still track and control their usage. For example, when the document is opened, or if it's printed, an entry is made in an audit log. And if required, you can revoke the individual's access to the document. Perhaps there's a new version of the document, or the individual is no longer authorized. All these rules are encapsulated into a security policy, which you could call something like top secret, with defined users or groups allowed access, and then the policy is applied to the appropriate information. However, another concern when distributing information electronically is phishing. How do we ensure the recipient is confident that the information contained in the document came from a known organization? Using Adobe Lifecycle Digital Signatures, we can apply a trusted digital signature or certificate issued by an organization such as VeriSign or GeoTrust. If any aspect of the document is altered after the signature has been applied, the signature will be rendered invalid. Valid documents are displayed in the Adobe Reader or Acrobat with a blue banner and rosette providing details of the approved signature. This banner is not contained in the actual document, so it can't be faked. There are 2 ways to apply Adobe Lifecycle's information protection capabilities. You can do it automatically or manually. When automatic, the security policy and signature is applied to a document by a computer when a certain event occurs. For example, if a document is copied to a particular location on a server or as part of an automated workflow. When manual, you simply apply the policy or signature to the document through Adobe Acrobat. Let's take a look. Adobe Lifecycle Rights Management can be used to protect both PDF or Microsoft Office documents. Let's take a look at a protected PDF. In this case, I've received an email from my bank, Finance Corporation, with my current account statement attached. When I double click on the PDF statement, I am notified that the document is about to communicate with an external website for authentication purposes. It is important to note that the user ID and password I'm prompted for are not contained inside the document. They are authenticated on a central lifecycle rights management server, and the user ID and password could be a dedicated account for secure documents or utilize another account from an existing LDAP server or similar. So I'll enter the user ID and password to access the document. Once my details have been confirmed, I'm granted access to the document and can interact with it in a traditional way. Security policies and digital signatures can be applied to documents as part of an automated workflow process. For example, every time a document is produced by a system, it can be automatically protected. Or the protection process can be manual or ad hoc. For example, using Adobe Acrobat in conjunction with my Lifecycle Rights Management server, I can open a PDF, review my available security policies, select the suitable policy, and apply it to the document. Once secured, I need to save a copy of the document. Now, if I close this document and attempt to reopen it, I'm prompted that I'm being directed to a Lifecycle Rights Management server for authentication, which I'm going to allow, and I'm asked for a user ID and password in order to access the document. It is only upon successful entry and validation of that information that I will be granted access to the document. Now within the protected version of the document, I can see, for example, that in this policy, the Save button has been disabled. Let's take a look on the server at this security policy. You can see that I've been directed to a web page for Adobe Lifecycle ES. One of the options that's been specified for this top secret policy is to audit the document, meaning that all events associated with the document are recorded. So if we go to the home page and click on Events, we can see that in the last 24 hours there have been 2 new events: secure a new document, and then the document was viewed. From this central server, we can also find our secured document. Here's our xray.pdf, and if required, we can revoke all access rights to the document. For example, we may have found an error and wish to stop people using that version and issue a new document version. We can also update our policy in real time. If we select our top secret policy, we can see the properties specified for this policy. For example, once authenticated, the document will be valid for 10 days. That seems a bit too long. Let's reduce it to 5. We simply save the policy, and the change is now in effect immediately. There's no need to reissue the document or apply the policy again. So, if you have sensitive information in documents that should be protected, and it could be customer information, minutes of board meetings, intellectual property, business plans, financial information, and so on, Adobe Lifecycle's information protection capabilities can provide a way to protect that information both inside and outside your organization, allowing you to distribute information but still control its access. If you'd like to know more about the information protection capabilities of Adobe Lifecycle, please contact us through avoca.com. Thank you.